Hello guys, what's happening? Today is going to be part 5 of learning to read with dyslexia by a dyslexic, okay? Today is going to be about something I've learned with something called the Davis method. And this is what happens in our brain during reading. Now, not in an MRI machine, but what's firing up. About kind of processes that we go through when we're reading that no one ever teaches us. And when we actually test it out, this is unbelievable. And some things that are really cool with being dyslexic that we're going to talk about today, guys. As always, guys, if we're finding this podcast episode or a series really good, and if we're watching this because we want to improve our reading as dyslexic, or we want our young ones, our sons, our daughters to improve their reading as dyslexic, schedule a 30-minute call with me and we can talk about it, about adult dyslexic and kids with dyslexia. Talk about this and give you ways how you can dramatically improve your dyslexia with reading. Click the link below to access it and get some time with me. Hope you enjoy today's episode. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Okay guys, so today is part 5, what I learned from the Davis method. Okay, so what is the Davis method? So this is like another method we use. I think it's in Australia. It was like invented. I was looking about a month ago to how to become David certified coach or whatever, and I can't do it because it's in Australia and I'm in Thailand. But what I learned from that, and this story goes back a couple years ago. I remember, I think I finished my school at this point, and I really wanted to learn more about dyslexia. And my mum had this book when she found out I had dyslexia, doing all this research on it, called The Gift of Dyslexia. It's about this Davis method done by this person called Davis. Forget his second name. I'm not good at names, but this book called The Gift of Dyslexia, really famous book, kind of like substantial when it comes to one of the top 5 dyslexia books out there. And this book, Gift of Dyslexia, is incredible. This is the first book I ever really tried to. This is years ago, way before I dramatically improved my English reading ability. But I picked up because I just wanted to learn more, because I was so motivated to learn it. I was like, okay, let's start picking up and reading. And I found out some incredible things about my dyslexia. I remember going to mum and saying, look, this is exactly how it is. How come no one ever told me about this? This is exactly what I do. This is exactly how my mind works and functions. And they talk about a lot of things in the Gift of Dyslexia book. And a couple of them are like about reading, about how it's all about our 3D mind. Our dyslexics have a 3D mind because when we're born with a 3D mind, and we can see our mum's face at a certain distance. And then eventually our kind of 3D mind turns into more of a 2D, so we understand things more on the 2D plane, like with looking at text and everything. But what dyslexics do, it says in this book, is then you can look at someone and look at an object, and then take about 1,000 mental images of that object, about what it would look at from all these different angles, which is our 3D perspective. And then we can kind of like predict exactly how it's going to look from all these different sides, because we still got a 3D mind. This is what babies do before they get their 2D, like just see it how it is, not how it would be from every single angle. And that's why we find it so hard when the teacher writes down the word cat on the board. We think of cat as an actual cat. We don't see as a cat as 3 little symbols. One's the CTA, cat, no, C-A-T, cat. C-A-T, not as those symbols. And so when we look at the letters on the board, it's hard for us to see them in 3D because they're not. We can see a cat in 3D, see a cat from all different angles. We can like kind of visualize it. And how this gift is amazing, because it translates into this strength of being able to rotate images around in our mind. And I'll give you an example, a true example. remember, so I read this book and it had this example in it. I remember the first day kind of volunteering at this school that I'll end up working in for a few years. I was volunteering on this kid on this table, this kid during the class, and there's like six or seven other students there. There's one kid I kind of knew had dyslexia because the teacher informed me. I was like, this one has dyslexia. I was like, oh, okay. And I remember talking to them. I shouldn't really be because I was like in lesson, I was supposed to be doing something else. But I told them about dyslexia. I was like, oh, you got dyslexia? Oh, that's so cool. Me too. No, because I remember his handwriting. And I was like, I bet my handwriting worse than yours. And because handwriting wasn't that good. And my handwriting is atrocious. And so did my handwriting's worse. No, I asked him, whose handwriting worse? He said himself. And I thought mine was worse. And I just knew it. So I asked everyone else on the table, whose handwriting's worse? Everyone said mine, because it was. And he's like, have you got dyslexia? Because I've got it. I was like, yes, I have. And I was like, oh, no way. I was like, yes, it's amazing. He's like, is it? Is dyslexia amazing? I was like, yeah, with dyslexia, you can do so many things that other people can't do. He's like, really? Like what? I was like, you're amazing at imagining things. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, so we tested. He's like, yeah, go on then. I was like, okay, so to him, this is at the point, everyone on the table was engaged in our conversation. I was like, okay, close your eyes. Let's say his name was Max. Close your eyes, Max. Okay, what's your favourite cake? He said, cheesecake. I was like, okay, imagine a slice of cheesecake on a plate in front of you. Just close your eyes, like looking at from your like third eye, from your midpoint eye. There's a name of how they use it in the book. Anyway, visualize it, the cake at an angle, like looking down. We see a bit of the side, a bit of the crust. And I was like, tell me when you're there. He was like, okay, I'm there. Like, good. Now rotate the image so then you're looking at it from a completely different angle in the room. So complete opposite angle. Rotate the image around in your head. Tell me when you're there. It's like, okay, I'm there. I'm like, great. Okay, rotate the image. So you're looking at this cake from the top. From the top, looking straight down like a bird's eye view. Tell me when you're there. Okay, I'm there. Oh, great. Look at it from underneath the table, underneath the plate. Look at it. Can you see it? Yep, I'm there. So rotate this image around and around. All these different angles, perspectives, and perspectives done like 6 or 7 times with different angles. Then he opened his eyes. I was like, see, only dyslexics can do that. He's like, no, I don't believe you. Everyone can do that. I'm like, no, they can't. And all the other people on the table were gobsmacked. I was like looking in this conversation and was like, what's happening? Who's this new like adult? And I was like, do you want me to test it? And he was like, okay. So I went around and tried it with another person at the table. I was like, close your eyes. What's your favourite chocolate cake? What's your favourite cake? Oh, chocolate cake. Let's do it with chocolate cake. Can you see it once you're there? Okay, I can see it. Now rotate it so you're seeing it from the other end of the room. I was like, what? I was like, rotate the image in your head. He was like, I can't. I was like, why can't you? They're like, I don't know. I just can't rotate the image. I was like, oh, really? Interesting. And this dyslexic kid was like, oh, really? And then I tried it on everyone else on the table. None of them could do it. Only me and this dyslexic boy could. And this boy was gobsmacked. He was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love having dyslexia. And there was like really good moment. And so that's a story about our gifts as dyslexics, how we have this mental image about looking at about everything from a 3D angle, a 3D perspective, and we have everything in images. And where this comes apart when we're reading a sentence, we always create an image of what we are reading, so that way we can understand the words. We can understand it in context, because we don't understand them today in text. We all visualize things. So in order for us to understand the text we're reading, we have to visualize it. But what happens when there's a word that we can't visualize? Like and if, but. You know what I mean? And all these words we can't visualize. And there's like over 200 or something words. There's a term they use in the book. Let's call them invisible words. Like words that we can't have quite a picture of. And they stop dead the sentence we're reading. Because the sentence they use in the book, something similar, like, I'll try to write it down, but something similar like, no picture, red, okay, there's a red fox, okay, there's a red fox, jumped, okay, so we're reading, okay, let's read the sentence. The red fox jumped over the blue fence. Okay, the red fox jumped over the blue fence, okay, The, no picture, red, there's a red colour, fox, red fox, jumped, okay, jumped over something. We can picture a red fox jumping, jumping over, okay, the, no picture. So now it's blank. Now it's blue fence. We can picture a blue fence. But now we don't know the red fox because it's blank. And it cuts us out. And what we have to do is read it and then kind of do a mental kind of, when I say forget or like just blocking. So reading it and just trying to rub it out in our head. This takes effort to do that. And the more of these invisible words come up that we can't create a picture for, the more effort our brain uses to try and learn to read. And they're dealing with all these words that make no sense. Think about when you're reading. When you're reading and when you're coming to a word that you don't understand, or coming to a word that you can't picture, like an and or an if, but, you know what I mean, all these, it makes it so much more harder to visualize it. And if you have these invisible words again and again and again, our brain gets so tired and fatigued working on it. And so doing this is why sometimes we can read and understand it, and then we read something and we don't understand what you read, and we read it over and over and over again. Our brain is trying to filter out all of these invisible words that don't add anything to the story and just have something they can visualize. And that takes effort, and that's one of the reasons that they say that your brain can't read as well. Your brain and just get really fatigued really, really, really easily. And using that, moving forward, and there's this little thing where we go through all these, like, I think it's 200 odd invisible words, and there's a process of going through where you can kind of block them out a lot more easier, for them to deal with as a dyslexic person. It's really good and really effective. And another thing that they do is that one of the reasons why we have different spelling or like bad handwriting as dyslexics, and it's because what they say is that everything is a certain image, everything is a certain way. And if we don't have a concrete structure about how a letter is, it can change form in our head all the time. And one thing is, we always see it 2D, we never see it 3D. We can never touch and feel and look at a shape from all different angles. And then what it gets people to do is basically make a clay model of all the letters of the alphabet. And they work on each letter at a time and make words like cat, hat. And you make this model of the word, and then you ask you, is that the right model? Is that the best you can do? And they go, oh, maybe. And they try to make it better and better and better till they have like a very good, decent sized model of letters that we could use to make words. And they make words with the letters. And what's really good is that how he came about this, I think, is that one day in the garden he made letters with mud and he learned to read. But also what's really interesting when you look at what could be happening is actually he's doing stuff to condition the brain to kind of activate different areas, like we said in part 2, activates more the back of the brain instead of the front of the brain when it comes to reading. And that's what he went in the garden with mud, got loads of clay and made letters. When the letters dried, he couldn't understand them. Then it came this therapy of making letters in clay. And so making letters in clay, you can see it from all different angles, see it, feel it, touch it. And then the next day it hardens. You see it's hardened, it's actually there. And it's another way of having a more multi-sensory approach when it comes to us learning our English. So maybe try and take that into account to try and make things a lot more stable, a lot more hard. If you have trouble with reading or with spelling, make it in a sense, with reading definitely, understand that when we're reading there's these words like and if that we don't visualize, that can trip us up a lot more. And so one little way we can do that is just by noticing all the words that don't have an image to it, and try and ignore them. Try and read around them, because that's eventually what dyslexics do. We don't actually read the ands and ifs. We know it's there, understand the meaning of it, but we don't actually read it. We just go what's important and carry on going. And so that's what we have to do. But once we become conscious of it, we can speed up that process. Guys, I really hope we enjoyed today's episode. There's a lot of information about dyslexia and how our brain works in the last couple of episodes, and now we'll be shifting gears because this is part 5, halfway through. we'll be shifting gears into learning more of the psychology, more of yes, we learn a lot of strategies, but more the exact things that you can do, and how what's coming out now about how dyslexics can learn to read and how you can transform your reading unlike anything else. I'm so excited to go into the second stage. This first stage is a lot about education. The second stage is a bit about psychology, about how our mind can stop us, and ways we can not have it stop us, and as well, the real things we can start doing now to move forward. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. And again, want to fast forward this process and schedule a call with me to answer questions directly. Schedule the time with me in the link below. Take care, guys. Farewell and bye.